go in the garden. You'll find something waiting right there where you left it, lying upside down. When you finally find it, you'll see how it's faded. The underside is lighter when you turn it around. Everything stays right where you left it. Everything stays, but it still changes ever so slightly, daily and nightly, in little ways, when everything stays.
Greetings, fellow freaks and weirdos, and welcome back to Ramblings, an unrepented geeking podcast. As always, I am your host, Shaun Cronenfeld, and once again, screw the preamble. We got reviewing to do. Specifically, we have to review Adventure Time Steak, episode, or part 5, May I Come In, and part 6, Take Her Back. So, let's get to it. Part 5, May I Come In, as suspected, dealt largely with the Hierophant, although there was a little bit with the moon as well. And yeah, I would say that this was probably the weakest episode so far of Stakes. Not bad. I want to be clear. It wasn't a bad episode, especially by this show's standards, but of the ones we've seen so far, of the 6 episodes of Stakes, this was the one I think that worked the least well. And I think that's in part because I'm not entirely sure I got what I wanted from the Hierophant. And look, I will freely cop to the fact that since he's voiced by Paul Williams, I was really hoping we'd get a song. Paul Williams is a famous singer. He helped write many of the songs for the Muppet movies. He as I said in an earlier episode of Ramblings, he was the singer on one of my favorite tracks from one of my favorite Daft Punk albums. So, I thought it'd be kind of cool if we got a song from him. And to be fair, that's my own expectations, and it's not like we were ever promised Paul Williams singing a song, but it does seem weird that in the episode before this, we got a song, and in the episode after this, we got a song, even if they're both kind of, sort of, brief little things, and in this episode, nope, no song, no. But leaving my unreasonable expectations aside, I did have a fun time with this. It was nice to see that they brought in the King of Ooh, even if it was just for a very small part, and they used him well, and I love the idea that this idiot is just continuously trying to, act as he sees royalty would act, and so of course he's hunting, but he's hunting one of his own citizens. It's just, oh god, this guy is such a jerk, and that's what makes him work. I was less pleased to see Lumpy Space Princess. Not that I disliked the character per se, but just, well, she really didn't do much, did she? You could have cut her out of this episode and her brief appearance in the next one, and nothing would have really changed. And it just felt like they threw her in there to throw her in there. I mean, at least the King of Ooh, him being there at least continues to build his ongoing subplot, I guess you would call it, or it's a good check-in, and it makes sense that he's somebody who would cave and betray Princess Bubblegum and Marceline and all that. So, Lumpy Space Princess didn't do much, but maybe that's just me. I wish she'd had a little more relevance if you're going to bother to include her, otherwise it feels a little pointless. Still, I did overall have a good time with the episode. There were some very funny moments in it. There was some good action. And yeah, I do feel like, I almost feel like they also missed an opportunity, because wouldn't it have been interesting if they really had teamed up with the Hierophant for a while? Still, they didn't go in that direction, and he had an interesting death, if an anticlimactic one, but that is very Adventure Time, that they build up, and then the way he goes down is just completely unexpected and more than a little anticlimactic. Very keeping in with the show, Jake turning into a house. Now that's classic Jake, and nice to see him sort of step up a bit. See him at least somewhat overcome his fears. I mean, because if anybody should have been able to take on the Hierophant, it's him. I mean, one shapeshifter against another. I will say, I lost it. I completely lost it when we saw what Finn was doing. The way Finn puts him out as bait with the hair and the way he took off his. Oh God, I had to pause it. I was laughing so hard I could barely breathe by the end. It's just if nothing else, they completely nailed that scene. And it was also fun, the brief interaction between the Hierophant and Peppermint Butler. I always like to see more P-Pups. P-Pups. Bleh. I really shouldn't have tried to use his cute nickname. Nope. I reached too far. I reached too high. My grasp outstretched my reach, or whatever you want to say. Yeah. I'm sorry. I failed you all, and I'm sorry. Seriously, though, that was fun, and it was nice to see that, yeah, he actually really does care for Princess Bubblegum, and he was legitimately upset that he, couldn't keep the Hierophant away from them, and he's one of the more interesting supporting characters in Adventure Time, and I always appreciate getting little glimpses into him, and, he's just not even bothered, though, by the idea of this vampire hanging around. He knows the rules. He knows how to take him out. And man, wouldn't it have been fun to actually see a full-on Peppermint Butler versus Hierophant fight? But oh well. Next up, we have Part 6, Take Her Back, and Holy Mother of God. Wow. I don't know if Moon, if she's the most messed up thing this series has ever done, because this show has done a lot of messed up things, and across 7 seasons and hundreds of episodes. I don't know if I can safely actually say the Moon is the most screwed up thing ever produced by Adventure Time, but if not, she's up there. I mean, woo, wow. I mean, it was like, we had in the Fool, we had just kind of an idiot, a childlike character. In the Empress, we had the Seductress, we had the Temptress. In the Hierophant, we had the old school vampire, and in the Moon, though, the Moon kind of breaks the pattern. It just is bizarre and insane, and the whole bit where she's, slowly approaching Marceline and Princess Bubblegum, and what she does to those poor banana guards, and just. I mean, we were definitely in some Lich territory right there, and just everything surrounding her was ridiculously messed up, and so they certainly nailed that, and her design completely playing against the expectations of her design, and then just showing how, every time she smiled and the twisting of her face, and it's just. Oof. And how about Peppermint Butler again, stepping up and saving the day, and just, wow, that was a very strong episode overall. I love the dream sequences that we get from Marceline in this episode, in addition to the wonderful little mini songs. It's fascinating. In the first one, we get to see Simon and Betty, in better days, and it kind of raises the possibility. I think a lot, we kind of all assumed that Simon just met Marceline for the first time after the Mushroom War, but, is it that, we know that Marceline's met Betty, but still, that seemed to imply almost maybe they knew her beforehand. I could be reaching with that. Regardless, it was very bittersweet to see those two characters considering their current state. And just interesting that very clearly Marceline sees them in a parental role, which is fascinating. And then the second dream sequence, now there, where we have Peppermint Butler digging a grave, and we have a Marceline who's clearly, not visually resembling her alternate self, her old, aged alternate self from that one episode of, earlier in the series. That was meant to be, I think, very clearly an older Marceline. A Marceline who is no longer the immortal vampire. And the idea that you saw, Bubblegum remain the same while we had an older Marceline seems to hint at, potentially the bittersweet future where this is going. And I thought it was fascinating that Bubblegum looked more mature too, that she hadn't aged, but she looked more adult. And that's interesting, a very subtle little touch, and I wonder what that implies. There's a lot of ways you could read that. So, amidst all the bizarreness and the humor, there's some very funny bits. I mean, is it a little, are Finn and Jake really so stupid they would mess up on steak versus take? I don't know, but it made for a good joke, and I love, the bit where Jake figures out, that just got me. It did. It really did get me. I mean, it wasn't up there with what Finn did in the previous episode, but still, it was an amusing little bit, and it did help set up and justify where the plot was going and all that, so that's good. Yeah, this was a very strong episode leading into the final two parts, and the Moon made for a very effective villain. And let's hope we never see her again, because she scared me. She scared me a lot, like a whole lot. It's like for the first time. Okay, I'm right there with you, Jake. I'm right there with you. So yeah, that was parts 5 and 6 of Stakes, and now all that we have left is the grand finale. Checkmate, which is part 7, and The Dark Cloud, which is part 8, and, well, aren't those going to be interesting? I mean, 7 is described as the Vampire King approaching Marceline with an unusual offer, while 8 is The Dark Cloud, 8 is the finale, and, you have to wonder where this is going. Will Marceline become a vampire again? She has her powers back, so she doesn't technically need to, but, well, we'll see. I mean, it's very clear that the Vampire King was playing his own game, and I did like the implication from the Hierophant that, that whatever's going on with the Vampire King, there's more than we can apparently see. And so I'm very much looking forward to how this all plays out. I expect there will be more laughter, there will be more, oh my god, that's awesomes, and there will be more than a few tears, because this is Adventure Time. And Adventure Time, along with shows like Gravity Falls, and especially Steven Universe, it loves to break you. It loves to pick you up, cradle you, gently, oh so gently, and then squeeze all the emotion out of you and leave you an empty, drained husk. Rather like a vampire. See what I did there? Eh? Yeah, you're impressed. Alright, that is going to do it for this episode of Ramblings. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and if you are watching or listening to this via iTunes, please consider review and rating the show. It is a big help in spreading the word to others, so they can enjoy the madness that is me. Which, you want to spread the madness, don't you? Don't you? And if you would like to support the show in a more monetary way, please consider heading to patreon.com/unrepentantgeeking. And, even just a couple bucks a month would be a huge assist to me and the show. And we promise you will be spared when the inevitable uprising comes. Shh, you didn't hear that from me. Woo! Okay, so that is it for Ramblings and Unrepented Geeking. I'm Shaun Cronenfeld, wishing you long days and pleasant nights. Till next time.